What's up guys, it's the Sound Alchemist, and today we will be continuing the epic narrative of the Crimson Slaughter. So let us begin where we left off. Under the new leadership of Cran the Relentless, the Crimson Slaughter launched a series of bloody campaigns in the Eye of Terror and in nearby Imperial space. Mutants, exile, and hive gangsters in the millions have set off in a quest to pledge themselves before the most fearsome of renegade chapters. The cult of the Red Disciples, the Bloodbathers, and the Dirt Dogs made up but a few of the thousands of different cultists that served the Crimson Slaughter. However, Cran still knew that the Crimson Slaughter had no way of sustaining themselves, so he had to make a deal with the infamous Fabius Bale. Bale agreed to create new Space Marines for the chapter as long as Cran provided him with bodies. The new Chaos Lord handed over Battle Brothers who had refused to join him, condemning them into grisly fates. But with the help of Fabius Bile, great laboratories were set up aboard their flagship, the Lost Hope. Row after row of chembats grew the organs that would be transplanted into these inspirants in order to transform them into initiates. When the Crimson Slaughter's number began to wax strong once more, Cran knew it was time for a large-scale foray into the Imperium. Thus began a rampage across a dozen worlds near the Veiled region. These were not raids, but full-scale invasions that viciously swept over entire planets. Over and over again, the Crimson Slaughter materialized out of the warp and wreaked havoc. Yet Cran was no closer to finding his true goal, the Hellfire Stone. This relic could cure the Crimson Slaughter of their maddening voices that plague them. After capturing the fallen angel Turiel and failing to capture the infamous Cypher, the former Dark Angel said he would give the Crimson Slaughter the location of the Hellfire Stone in exchange for his freedom. Cran instead had Turiel give him the location of more fallen, who Cran mercilessly hunted down and slaughtered. The dead fallen were left in the open on the worlds of Stern's remembrance, and the Crimson Slaughter sent a message to all the Dark Angels he knew of their secret past, and in doing so, Cran hoped to lure the Dark Angels into a trap. Soon enough, the Dark Angels appeared, and Cran sprung his trap. In the ensuing fight, they outnumbered the Dark Angels, and they had no choice but to retreat. However, during this quick and sudden battle, the captain of the Dark Angels' 5th Company, Zedekiel, was slain. His grudge replayed, Cran now had the Crimson Slaughter resume the search for the Hellfire Stone. However, he made a vicious new enemy for the Crimson Slaughter, as the Dark Angels swore retribution, and they were determined to erase any who knew of the secret of the Fallen. During the Battle of Bane's Landing, the Crimson Slaughter was hunted down and defeated by vengeful angels as they were just about to acquire the Hellfire Stone. Cran was forced to flee back into the Eye of Terror, his prize so close. In a furious state, he struggled with rage and above all, the manifold of voices. In the midst of battle, after bloodletting granted him a rare moment of clear thought, Cran experienced an epiphany. He was being used, and badly. As they had attempted to wash the Hellfire Stone with the blood of a captured Space Marine, he had felt the skies grow black, and he had felt the twitching agitation from the inner voices that were now a part of him. It was not fear that they were feeling, but a ritual of fierce joy. The words that had risen unbidden from Cran during the height of their ritual was not his own, nor even in a language that he knew, but it came to him in a similar word before, Anumedia. The Bethulu cults had screamed these words. They sought to summon demons from their patron Khorne, but were denied completion by the ritual of Cran and the Crimson Sabers that slaughtered them. The ancient magics of the Hellfire Stone were not meant to eradicate the inner demons, but rather to make them stronger. They were intended to usher in a dark new age. His mind, now reeling with the implications, Cran returned to the Lost Hope to prepare for a new plan. Cran knew what the next target for the Crimson Slaughter must be. His new Marines were implanted with the organs developed from Fabius Bile's creation. However, they were turning into monstrosities, wild and uncontrollable beasts. Cran needed more warriors, many more, and there was only so much gene seed that could be farmed from his own followers. To gain the more stable matter, he would need to seize it. After recent clashes with the vendetta the Crimson Slaughter had developed, Cran knew exactly which chapter he would steal it from. He raided the ice world of Newmark, a recruitment world for the Dark Angels. Emerging victorious, all of the Dark Angels on Newmark were slain as he plundered the Angels' fortress for its gene seed stock. Following the battle, it was revealed that the Warband's chief sorcerer Manon had become possessed by the Lord of Change, Zach Ian Tar. Revealing to have been manipulating Cran, the Lord of Change vanished. Cran then vowed to hunt down this demon. He again failed to slay Zach Ian Tar in the Battle of Myrmidons. However, the Dark Angels had not forgotten about their vendetta against the Crimson Slaughter. 5th Company Master Balthasar pursued the Crimson Slaughter, eventually running Cran to the ground on an unnamed moon, where the Chaos Lord was finally defeated and he had his head taken as a trophy by the Dark Angels. Somehow, Cran survived his ordeal with the Dark Angels, but by this point the Crimson Slaughter had garnered the attention of Abaddon the Despoiler, Lord of the Black Legion. Upon meeting the War Master of Chaos, Cran vowed to join the Black Crusade, but he would do so only on the condition that the demon Zach Ian Tar was his to kill, whether they be on the same side or not. Thus, the Crimson Slaughter joined the 13th Black Crusade, striking at the hive world of Regalis. Later, Cran led the Crimson Slaughter in an alliance with the Black Legion sorcerer Zorphas in the Diamor campaign. The Crimson Slaughter believed that the key to curing their specters could be found within this Diamor system. However, they were largely used as cannon fodder by their allies. So that was the main storyline for the Crimson Slaughter, and now we will dive into the relics of this chapter, starting with the Bale Star of Manon. Manon was once the chief librarian of the Crimson Sabers before becoming a powerful sorcerer blessed with warp sight. After the Lord of Change, Zach's Ian Tar, subsumed his body, the only component of the sorcerer's armor to survive was the relic that became known as the Bale Star of Manon. This potent artifact takes the shape of an 8-pointed star, within which is set a malevolent glowing eye. He can then control the maddening visions. The bearer of the Bale Star of Manon can see a number of potential futures with which to guide the actions of his fellow renegades. The Blade of the Relentless is a relic of the Crimson Slaughter. Formerly known as the Imperator Blade, this fabled weapon has long since been renamed after the one who wields it, changed over to Chaos. Cran the Relentless has borne his fell weapon for many centuries and witnessed its corruption from noble power sword to fearsome, warp-enhanced blade. As it feeds on the lifeblood of its victims, so too does the Blade of the Relentless devour their souls. The raw essence is then channeled into the blade, where its touch becomes increasingly lethal with every life that it claims for itself. The Crozius of the Dark Covenant. Chaplain Ochs once wielded this deadly Crozius Arcanum in the name of the Emperor, bellowing forth litanies of hate and zealous oratory as he struck down his foes. Now, this ancient mace is so suffused with the corrupting power of the warp that Ochs needs to say nothing, for the weapon itself acts as a conduit for the voices that fill the heads of each Crimson Slaughter Marine. Warriors in its presence are driven into a mindless frenzy and will butcher their foes with ever-increasing ferocity. Demon Heart. A suit of Baroque armor is the crowning achievement of Trentkus, the chief wharfsmith of the Crimson Slaughter. Trentkus has bound the essence of a powerful demon within this armor, siphoning its unearthly energies to fortify its wearer. Beneath its glassy surface, the armor's prison writhes impatiently, ever seeking the opportunity to escape. If efforts are futile, for the enchantments wrought within the armor's baleful runes sap the demon's strength to feed unholy, life-giving energies to its wielder. The Slaughterer's Horns. Since the chapter's rebirth as the Crimson Slaughter, the horns atop this warp-infused helmet have grown truly enormous in size. So suffused with foul energies has this helm become that the one who wears it is driven into an uncontrollable rage, the voices in his head amplified to a deafening crescendo. As he throws himself at the enemies of his own, this frenzied warrior will gore and skewer his victims with the demonic horns, even as he hews them down. And now onto a few notable characters of this renegade chaos warband. Starting with Cran the Relentless. Cran was known to be militant and brutal even before his service to the Emperor. Upon leading his warband into the self-imposed exile in the Eye of Terror, Sevastus was corrupted by the powers of chaos. Renaming himself Cran the Relentless, he has driven himself to commit more and more bloody vile acts, in an attempt to silence the maddening voices that plague him, a result of a curse from Khorne. Cran would later lead the Crimson Slaughter to Bane's Landing in search of the Hellfire Stone, an artifact that would supposedly end his curse, although the voices denied that would be possible. During the battle, he claimed the lives of several Dark Angels and took the Ravenwing Sergeant Arion prisoner for use in an unholy ritual. However, Arion's suicide thwarted his plans, and Cran was forced to retreat. The Dark Angel librarian Termiel would then predict that over the course of the next 3 years, Cran would join a force with much more a powerful Chaos Lord than he, and that Cran would be cornered into a moon in Tau space. The combined efforts of the Dark Angels and the Space Wolves forced him into battle with Company Master Balthasar for the 3rd time, having met and fought him twice before and escaped through teleporter both times. During the 3rd confrontation, Cran finally met his end, and his head was taken back to the battle barge Angel of Retribution by Balthasar in an iron box. However, Cran somehow managed to survive. Following the battle at Bane's Landing, Cran would then suspect that he and his chapter were being used by an unknown power. This power would later turn out to be the Lord of Change, Tax Ian Tar, who had been possessing the body of the former Chief Librarian Manon. Cran would then pursue Manon deep into the Eye of Terror, to a world called Myrmidons. There he would cut off the demon's arm before it retreated once again. Currently, Cran the Relentless leads at the forefront of one of many spear tips of the 13th Black Crusade, most notably in the Diamor campaign. Moran, also known as Moran the Entombed, is a Hellbrute of the Crimson Slaughter. Moran was once a living warrior. Now he is a twisted abomination of flesh and machinery, known as a Hellbrute. Long ago, he was Baranox's captain in the Crimson Sabers, and was one of the few to resist their fall into damnation. Unfortunately for Moran, Baranox lacked his moral center, and the captain was felled by his own sergeant's treacherous blow. However, even this indignity was not enough for Baranox, who ordered Moran's mortally wounded form bound into a Hellbrute's vile sarcophagus. Centuries later, Moran serves, albeit unwillingly, though he has long since been driven insane by the techno-sorcery that cages him. Baranox, also known as Baranox the Blood-Haunted, is a warband leader of the Crimson Slaughter. Formerly a veteran sergeant of the Crimson Sabers, he was loyal to the Emperor, but embraced eternal damnation with the rest of his chapter. Ochs eventually went to worship Khorne, leading a warband known as the Lords of Carnage. He has clashed with both the Dark Angels and High Fleet Leviathan. Ochs isn't the type to fight at a distance, preferring to smell the foe's spilt blood as it falls. In battle, Ochs leads a detachment of Terminator elites, known as the Wrath Guard. And that's all I have for you guys this time. Make sure to stay subscribed so you guys can get the end part to the Crimson Slaughter Chaos Renegade Space Marines. Let me know what you guys liked about this, lore in particular. Perhaps you guys enjoyed the final ending to the battle between the Dark Angels and the Crimson Slaughter. Or maybe you were more into the Hellbrute that was unjustly imprisoned. Let me know what other Chaos Renegades you guys want me to cover. And also don't forget to head on over to our Patreon page, where a simple $1 a month brings you more epic 40K videos. And also guys, don't forget that your chance to win one of our Start Collecting boxes is still going on, so hurry because time is running out. Details would be in our Facebook page. And as always guys, I am the Sound Alchemist, part of One Mind Syndicate, and I am signing out.